Hello and welcome to UC Today. I'm Senior Editor Tom Wright and I'm delighted to be joined by Thomas from Toku. Thomas, to start with, could you give us a quick overview of yourself and the business, please?
Hello, Tom. Absolutely, and thanks for having me. So I'm Thomas Laboulle. I'm the CEO and founder of Toku. I'm a Belgian living in Singapore for the past 8 years, also where the journey of Toku has started. So we are a communication and a cloud customer engagement platform for businesses, specifically for businesses in Asia Pacific, but we have, of course, a global reach. So we tackle the different pillars of the communication needs and customer engagement needs, starting with the application programming interfaces as part of the CPaaS offering. And then we also do solutions, both business telephony solutions under UCaaS, and then the flagship solution of the company, which is the contact center for large organizations and is under the CCaaS brand. So we are working with both private sector companies and government agencies, but as I said before, it's mainly with large organizations that have a multinational presence and are dealing with a certain level of complexity and legacy systems too.
So can you talk us through how businesses are approaching the integration of communication with their other corporate tools?
Yes, there are different layers to that. So first of all is all the brands have now realized that to meet the expectations from the customers, from today's customers that are waiting for immediate feedback and a personalized journey, they need to solve first the fragmentation between the customer data and their communications channels. So they're really looking at making sure that for the basic telephony channels first, they can integrate all the data in real time so that agents can benefit from information that the organization already has. And then beyond that is also capturing all the information that is coming with every interaction that is happening and making sure that it's shared across the entire organization. So it is really something that is going to happen at different levels and in different stages because the basic telephony channels are also no longer enough. Besides coupling all the customer data and the communication channels, you also need to adapt to the preferences of your audience and have an omni-channel approach. And that omni-channel approach is still very new. We already had multi-channels where different communications tools could be used. It could be via email, via the normal voice telephony, or even SMS, WhatsApp. But those were separate journeys. And now it's how can you provide the same customer experience, but across all the channels and smoothly, seamlessly transition between those different channels as part of the different use cases and also the preferences of your audience.
And how can these integrations and the ability to move between channels affect customer experience?
Well, to start with a very basic example, one of the main use cases for interacting with the brand is customer support. So typically, you are calling your favorite brand or your company to complain about something. So having different pain points along the journey is only going to add to the frustration that you already have. And a brand absolutely needs to avoid that if they want to score well on the customer satisfaction ranking. So it is really already avoiding that a customer needs to repeat information. I think that is the most common pain point that brands surprisingly are still struggling with. It is, I think, unacceptable nowadays that a customer would have to repeat very basic information, especially if it's already an existing customer that could be recognized from the get-go. And then beyond it is also making sure that once the case has been explained to an agent, if because of the organization structure, you need to switch to another department, to another agent, you don't have to go through the whole explanation yet again. So these things can be tackled once you have an integration between your CRM, between your ticketing system and the communication channels that you are using.
And customer experience is obviously closely linked to agent experience. So how can these integrations benefit the agent and help them deliver a better service?
You're absolutely right. And that's an aspect that is very often forgotten by the brands is when the tools that the agents are using are frustrating them in their day-to-day job. They have more difficulty to show during 8 hours of their shift enough empathy to the customers that are complaining to them about different aspects of the service. So you really want to make sure that everything that is repetitive, everything that has very little added value and that should be automated is actually automated. And all these different hurdles have to be removed very quickly when you implement a contact center solution and when you are doing these integrations.
So let's look a little bit more specifically at Toku now. Can you talk through how you're helping businesses bring all these tools and platforms together?
Yes, and so we are working with large organizations, which means that they have challenges that cannot be addressed directly out of the box. So our solution has, of course, default settings and a standard package, but typically we are working on making it more bespoke. And the integration with tools starts not with the technical aspect of the integration, because that's actually the easy part. The APIs are very straightforward nowadays, and most tools have enough documentation to make it a very easy integration and very easy transition. What is actually the difficulty is to make sure that the brand has spent enough time on anticipating the changes to their processes. And you want to avoid as much as possible that working processes for the sales team, the marketing team, the customer support team have to be changed because of an integration. So it's really about addressing the people aspect and the processes before we even start with the integrations. And then, of course, one big added value of working with Toku in Asia Pacific is our ability to integrate with a lot of corporate tools, but also to couple it directly with the connectivity that is required, not only on the telephony side and the regulatory side, but also with the different OTT channels that are now more and more expected by brands.
I've just got one final question for you, Thomas. Could you talk through what we could expect to see from Toku this year? Maybe give us some clues about what might be coming next.
Yes, so it's a very exciting year for us because in 2021 we actually rolled out the complete version of the contact center solution, and all the sophisticated telephony features and the different channels were part of it, but it was really focused on the communications aspect. This year we're going one step further, and we are helping brands to enrich the customer experience of their audience by giving them more actionable insights. So that's one of the main initiatives this year is really to focus on, for example, the sentiment analysis, although still limited to a number of languages and very early stage, it is adding a lot of insights to the agents that are working, for example, on closing a sale. Linked to that is the analysis of the recording. So recordings are very often an untapped source of data because they are kept for audit purposes and maybe training purposes in some organizations, but it doesn't go much further than that. And it's really such a gigantic pool of data that you can use in order to find patterns, analysis on different keywords to look at the correlation between how these keywords have been used in an interaction with the customer and the outcome of that interaction. So really looking at that data in order to create information, actionable insights, really looking for the patterns. So that's one main initiative is really enriching all the customer experience aspect. And then secondly is rolling out the next level of workforce management, because the organizations that we are working with are spread across different geographies. And with the new normal, they now also have to deal with a hybrid working model. So instead of dealing only with the complexity of having outsourced BPOs in terms of the level 1 maybe of the customer support, and then in-house for level 2 and level 3, they now also have a further separation between the locations. Sometimes they are all in an office, and sometimes they are working from home. And obviously, for the supervisors especially, it is more difficult than to interact and to coordinate efficiently. So there are more features that are expected. Same thing actually for the agents, that when they are in the office have access to large screens where all the reporting information is directly visible to them. Now you need to start embedding it in order that to have a better experience on the agent side, also when they are working from home remotely, sometimes on a single screen, instead of having more resources at their disposal in the office.
Well, look, it sounds like there's a lot going on, so I really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us today.
Yeah, exciting times, Tom, but it was a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a like and a share on social media, and we'll see you next time.